hey, listen, today is March 18th. It was just 1 month ago when on this very program, we had Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette on because I saw what he had written over the weekend.
That he loves suits.
Well, he didn't write that.
Oh.
He wrote over the weekend, prior to us having him on, President's Day weekend, I might add. He wrote that the Pittsburgh Steelers were committed to giving Kenny Pickett a third season as the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were committed to giving him a full season as the starter. And we're even thinking about bringing Mason Rudolph back and having a quarterback competition because he apparently wasn't opposed to returning the Steelers after finishing up strong and getting the Steelers in the playoffs, operating the offense in a way that Pickett didn't before he got hurt, and then Mitchell Trubisky did not while filling in for the hurt Pickett. And that they were not interested in veteran quarterbacks elsewhere. Quote, that would include Justin Fields and Kirk Cousins and probably even Russell Wilson, who has a connection with the Steelers, is what Jerry wrote. And we had Jerry on. Now we're going to have Jerry back on today. He's in the third hour of this program because, boy, did the Steelers reverse course. Because Jerry's not just making stuff up out of thin air. He has been covering the Steelers forever and a day. And he knows what their thinking was. And their thinking was, we're not going for Kirk Cousins because they weren't paying him all the cash that Atlanta was paying him. And maybe at the time they weren't going for Justin Fields because don't forget, when the season ended and we knew the Bears had Caleb Williams as the possible next quarterback of the Chicago Bears because they own the first overall pick again, making Justin Fields expendable again, and how this time, because of how good Caleb Williams is, I think Justin Fields was going to be traded. We were all talking about. Don't forget, at that time, we were all talking about Atlanta being a destination for him and how Atlanta might flip the 8th overall pick in the draft to Chicago for Justin Fields. The 8th overall pick in the draft
a long time
is what
ago.
was being discussed at the time amongst all of us who supposedly know things. Okay?
That seems so funny now.
Why would the Steelers cough up the 20th overall pick in the draft for Justin Fields when they could eventually flip a 6th round draft choice for him that could go up to a 4th round draft choice if he has 51% of the snaps in the upcoming season? But guess what? When this trade got pulled off over the weekend, it was to supposedly get a backup for Russell Wilson. So the Steelers took the quarterback room of Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and Mason Rudolph and turned it into the quarterback room of Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And all it cost him was $1.2 million for Russ, who wasn't, again, on their radar screen of being of interest to the Steelers on President's Day weekend because, A, he was still a member of the Broncos. B, we all assumed he wouldn't be a member of the Broncos much longer. But C, did they really think, did everybody think for sure they would just cut him? Well, it did seem likely at the time, but it did in fact happen. And so they sign Russell Wilson for the league minimum, $1.2 million, and get Justin Fields for a third day draft choice. And by the way, not for this year either. It's for next year. Doesn't cost him a single piece of draft capital this year to get Justin Fields. It's a potential 6th, turns into a 4th next year. And he's on the docket for $3 million and change this year. So the quarterback room of Russ and Justin Fields, combine the cost together. The number starts with a 4. Except there's not 7 zeros after it like the 4 has in New York for Daniel Jones. It's 4 point whatever and change for this quarterback room. And to the Steelers, you got to go, great job.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's kind of low risk. Even if they pick up Justin Fields' option, fifth-year option, which they have to do by May 2nd, and they will do, that's 20-some-odd million and change there. Put it together, and you've got Russ and Justin Fields together for this year, and then just one more. The cost of them together is about $30 million over 2 years. How many quarterback rooms are, I mean, think about it this way. Taylor Heineke is backing up Kirk Cousins. Do you know how much money he's going to cost? About $7 million. Taylor Heineke is going to be wearing a headset and a clipboard in his arms for $7 million. That's double the cost of the entire Steelers quarterback room. Why wouldn't the Steelers take this roll of the dice? Because it is that. It is that. I mean, we all know Russ had a Hall of Fame resume and still does, and has an opportunity, if he does what he can do in Pittsburgh, if he did in Seattle what he did, and can bring that game to Pittsburgh, and they're going to be running the ball just like they did in Seattle, and they're going to be doing play action just like they did in Seattle, and they're going to play defense just like they did in Seattle. It's set up for Russ to play action and go up top to somebody like George Pickens. It's set up for us to do the Seattle things. It's set up. So there's that. But that Russ hasn't shown up in about 4 years with consistency. So there's that. And Justin Fields is going to be sitting there as well. And these two guys together, whether you call this a quarterback stat or not, the worst quarterback record in the NFL since 2021 belongs to Justin Fields, 10-28. The second worst record belongs to Zach Wilson. How great was that 2021 quarterback class, huh? And third is Russ. In terms of most sacks taken, you know how Russ, we've been saying, he takes way too many sacks. Way too many. 133 since 2021. Whew. Only one quarterback's been sacked more. It's Justin Fields.
Yeah.
135. The only quarterbacks to lose 25 or more games and win fewer than 20 since 2021 as starters. Let me repeat that. You've lost more than 25 and you've won less than 20. There's only two quarterbacks. It's the Steelers quarterback room. Fields at 10-28, Russell in 17-27. They also lead the league in many people saying it's not their fault. It's the fault of everything around them. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. The crazy thing, though, and this is the other thing you just can't make up. Because let's not forget, again, over President's Day weekend, Steelers were like, it's Pickett's gig, and we're going to get Mason Rudolph. We're going to run it back. We're going to run it back. And
not signing a veteran.
And we're not signing a veteran, and we're bringing in Arthur Smith to figure this thing out. This is what we're going to do. This is what the plan is. And now here he is, smash cut to a month later, and it's Russ and it's Fields. Two names in Jerry Dulac's story that they were not interested in. Okay? So keep that in mind. Understood. Check that box. I get it. But this is totally, completely unexpected, is that Russ is being given the courtesies extended to quarterbacks that have normally been on the team for 7 days. I mean, for 7 years, not 7 days.
Right.
Okay. Put up the first one here. Tom Pelissero, over the weekend, once Fields was acquired, asked the question, is there a competition between Russ and Justin? One source just texted, Russ is the starter. Ian Rappaport saying this a day later, that when the trade for Fields went down, Mike Tomlin reached out to Russ while the trade was going down to let him know he was the starter. Tom Pelissero said it last night, according to Ian, and Tomlin views that as the plan. Fields will compete regardless. Not just that either. Jerry Dulac, who I can't wait to chat. Boy, do we got a lot to talk about, and it's got nothing to do with suits. Talking about, the obvious, how he signed a one-year contract for the veteran middle because the Broncos are paying him $39 million for the rest of 2024. But Wilson and the Steelers intend to do a longer deal at the end of the season, per sources. It's like, whoa. Okay. It's crazy that a team goes from we're not interested to, well, we're interested in having a long-term deal with a guy who's got the most dead cap money on the ledger of the last team that he was with in the most in the history of the NFL. This just doesn't compute. It doesn't compute at all. And I will admit fully, I like being right more than almost anything, correct?
I think we all do.
So this is going to be tough for me to say, boy, was I wrong.
I was right.
Well, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, well, Pickett's not going to just be watching his job be given away to Russ coming off of the last 3 years. When they think so much of Pickett, they were considering just not even bringing in Russ. So this is not going to be a coronation. There's going to be a competition. Well, everything's saying the reason why Pickett got shipped out is he was so upset with Russell Wilson's arrival that he acted so adversely that he got the gate. Because Tomlin says he doesn't want hostages. He wants volunteers. So out the door he goes across the state to Philadelphia, where he has hardly any chance of starting. Because apparently they told Pickett Russ is getting the first team reps. So after the last 3 years, Russell Wilson gets to go to a spot where he is given first team reps right off the bat. He's being told he's the starter when they bring in somebody 10 years younger than him who has a much better chance of, instead of taking a sack, ripping one off for 50 yards than Russ does.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And the kid who's going to have a fifth-year option of $20-something million picked up, he's just going to be installed as the backup, period, with no competition, and with an intention of signing him long-term at the end of the season before he's even taken one practice rep. This is truly one of the most remarkable achievements of Russell Wilson's career.
Black and gold. Here we go.
I'm serious. I didn't give him much of a chance to be in a spot where he could potentially compete for the job, and now he's not even in a competition for the job, and they're already looking down the road to keep him there forever? The rest of his career? Hey, man, Russell Wilson and his agent did some work, and it all started with him showing what it's all about for him when he flew through Newark Airport. I'm telling you, that showed the fortitude and moxie that only can lead to somebody telling the Pittsburgh Steelers, these aren't the quarterbacks you're looking for. Like a full Obi-Wan mind trick. Those other quarterbacks are not what you're looking for. You're looking for me. I will get the first team reps. I will have Kenny Pickett sent to Philadelphia. I will have Justin Fields welcomed as a backup. And I will get a long-term deal as your intention. Wild turn of events. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.